You guys can actually send me questions in advance. And the agreement I make with you is that those of you who send me your questions in advance, you get your questions answered first. And then sometime to go beyond that, right? We go about 90 minutes for class. We meet every Tuesday, in case you're new. And if you are new, I want to welcome you. We meet every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern. And literally, we just do incessant conversation about the stock market. I answer a million and one questions that you have, from the basic stuff to more advanced stuff and everything in between, so that you are just comfortable with investing. One of the biggest things about investing is that investing really is a culture. And when you are spending time in that culture, you're just learning the culture. It's like when I'm trying to understand my 10-year-old daughter, I don't go, read a book or take a class on her. What I do is I just talk to her. I follow her around. I look at what she watches on YouTube and on TV. I ask her about her favorite Disney shows. We go to the park and we just hang out, right? And as a result, by me investing the time, you just get better at things. That's how you get better at everything. In fact, some of you may be laughing at me because a lot of people have been laughing. There's a lot of reasons to laugh at me because I'm so ridiculous in so many ways. But one of the things that I've been doing was I've been playing a lot of video games, and you guys may know about that. I actually have a Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Dr Boyce Watkins, and what we do is we get on Twitch and we play Call of Duty. And we talk about stocks, because I wanted to do this to kind of relate to my sons and also relate to young people, just connect with them, because they're all investing now. They're all talking about stocks. But unfortunately, a lot of the information they're getting is bad information. A lot of their analysis is wrong. A lot of the people that are advising them are just, putting them in these crazy pump and dump schemes. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more during class. But the thing is, when I got in this video game, I was terrible at it. I didn't know my way around. I hadn't played video games in about a decade or more, maybe probably more like 14, 15 years. And it was hard. It was like, man, this is stressful and it's making me mad. And I just said, okay, boys, just every day, just get on there for about an hour and just play around every day. And that was a deliberate strategy, for me, because one of the things that you find is that when you're trying to, when you're young, you're all eager and ambitious. You're trying to become a high achiever. And I've always been, I was like that when I was 18 years old, even before that. I just didn't apply it to academics. I was a captain of my track team, and I wasn't very fast, but they made me the captain because I was responsible. I was very hardworking. I wanted to be the best. So if everyone else was practicing for an hour a day, I wanted to practice for 2 hours. I always had that in me because I learned that from my father and my mother. Actually, my mother always told me that if you whatever you put your energy into is going to pay off. She also said that if you want to get ahead, you got to do more than everybody else. You got to have extra passion. So I got my passion from my mother. My father gave me discipline. My father was a guy who told me that, life is never going to give you anything if you sit around feeling sorry for yourself. You can sit around and blame other people, blame the white man. You can blame whoever, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's their fault. If you couldn't solve that problem, then you're still going to be the one who's sitting in a big pile of crap that is considered your life, because you weren't able to solve the problem and overcome the limitation, right? So he said, look, we know people get done wrong all the time. Bad things happen all the time. But one of the biggest challenges that I think or one of the biggest liabilities we've been given as Black people is this victim mentality, that somehow if we find somebody to blame for our problem, then that's the same as actually solving the problem. And that doesn't. That just gives you an excuse to walk away and to give up and to sit there again in your pile of crap. So with that said, I still kept that with me. That's what actually got me through my PhD program, which was very unfair, very racist, very difficult, just hard to tell. Just so difficult. In fact, there was no other. I didn't realize this until the moment I was walking across the stage to get my degree, that there was not one single African American in the entire planet that I knew about anywhere who got that same degree that year. We all know each other. The circle of finance PhDs is very small, and I thought about it when I was on stage, and I thought about all the people that started with me that didn't finish, and so maybe there's something to learn from that, about that persistence piece. If you're very persistent, then you will be successful. If you're not persistent, then you will fail at most difficult tasks. You will only be successful at easy things, right? So long story short, since I started playing on my Twitch channel, it was irritating. It was very frustrating. But I was like, okay, if I just pour time into it, I'll get better. So that's what I did. I would just get on there and I'm stumbling around. I'm all thumbs. I'm screwing up. And my son's like kind of saying, "Oh, no, 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 go this way. Turn to the left. No, 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 stop. No, sit still. Like, what are you doing?" And now after maybe just pouring in time, I'm better now. I'm still not the best in the world at it. You guys might see me, but we get on there. We talk about stocks and stuff like that. And I just got better because I poured in the time. So my point in that story is to say to you that if you want to get better at investing, just pour in the time. Just spend time in that space. Spend time hearing conversations. You don't have to go, take some, read a whole entire book and sit there, like you're in class. Life is a classroom. The world is a university. And so the more time you spend just kind of listening as we're having these investing conversations, you see me linking it and relating it to things that you understand very well. Like I love to link investing to things like love and sex and stuff like that, because everybody understands love. Everybody understands sex. And it's really amazing how when you talk about things like business, like forming a business partnership with other people, that's just like a marriage. I'm actually getting married in a couple weeks in Texas. I'll tell you guys more about that later. And literally, it's marriage is a legal contract that is very similar to forming an LLC with another person. And the same similarities or same challenges you have in a marriage are the challenges that come up when you form a partnership. That's why, I was talking to a buddy the other day who got married to. He met a woman. He met a beautiful woman in January, and they got married in April, and they were divorced by maybe November. And I said, so what happened? He said, well, I got with her, and I'm not gonna say his name because I'm not trying to make fun of him. I don't make fun of him. I mean, everybody does something stupid when it comes to love. I mean, raise your hand if you ever done something embarrassing when it comes to love. Love makes you stupid. Love takes your IQ and chops it in half. Because we just get all excited about somebody, and then next thing you know, we're wondering like, how did I even get here, right? This is somebody else's life. I don't know if anybody else has ever felt that way. I know I have. But one of the things that he mentioned was, he said, yeah, she had a crazy, the father of her child was a crazy man. And I heard him and I said, yeah, wow, that sounds terrible. But the thing I did kind of want to say a little bit, and I did say it, out of in complete respect, of course, was I said, maybe you got to trace back your steps and think about the fact that you fell in love and you married this person so quickly, right? Marriage is a very heavy commitment. Having a child with somebody is a heavy commitment, which means having sex with somebody is a heavy commitment because children come from sex. So, maybe part of the challenge, and I mentioned this to my friend, was maybe the reason that these things sprung up on you is because if you've taken a year to get to know this person and been around this woman for a while, you would have gotten a chance to observe all the dynamics of the situation before you walked into it. Like you walked in and you got taken out by a landmine, maybe because you didn't take time to survey the space before you walked into it. It's no different from when I play the video games. They say don't jump in, don't just go in there, look around, make sure the room is clear before you go in, or you're going to get shot. Well, life is kind of like that too. A lot of times, and it goes back to what I was talking about learning. The best way to learn a thing is to spend time around that thing and to observe that thing. Like, so ladies, this is advice for you when you're dealing with men. Men, this is advice for you when dealing with women, because that's an investment, by the way. There's nothing you'll invest ever in your life that's more important than your life itself. Money, it has nothing on the value of your life, your happiness, your health. All these things are in jeopardy when you invest yourself into the wrong person. And with the key idea with learning anything, which then will determine whether you invest in that thing, is how much time have you spent with that thing. Like, so if I'm going to make an investment in a property and I'm going to buy a piece of land, and I'm going to put my life savings on this piece of land, then don't you think that it would make sense for me to do every single thing I can to do my, what they call your due diligence, to learn that piece of land? Maybe I'll even pay somebody to look at the land with me and walk through it and survey it with me. We're going to test the soil underneath the house. We're going to look into, we're going to do a home inspection, right? We're going to really, really dig in, because if we don't, then we're going to get caught in a landmine. And then at that point, sure, you might have an excuse. You might say, the reason that I lost my whole life savings is because they sold me a house that had a termite problem and I didn't know about the termite problem. Well, that's a good excuse for sure. Like, life will always give you a convenient excuse for why something bad happened. But the question is, did you do your due diligence? Did you take your time and do your homework? Did you spend time with that thing to learn that thing before you invest in that thing? So the same thing is true with investing itself. If you spend time with investing in the investing space, with the investing culture, just listening to, I think I can be a pretty good guide for you. I hope you agree. That's why you're here, right? Just us talking about it in a conversational aspect, you learn more that way than you do, I think, by just learning a bunch of technical definitions that don't mean anything to you at the time. I remember going through school and learning, okay, a mutual fund does this, this, and this, interest rates do this, this, and that, but it didn't mean anything to me until I was able to link it and wire it back into real life and everyday life. Okay, so with that said, I want to tell you guys about something that I have been doing lately, and I want to give you guys an update on it. I took a little survey on my Twitter. Sorry, guys. Ooh, my stomach's a little bit so upset today. I did a little survey on Twitter, and I asked my Twitter followers. I said, "Would you be interested in me doing an experiment and buying some Dogecoin, just to see what would happen and kind of reporting what my results are, right?" And and lo and behold, 76% of the respondents all said, "Yeah, we'd like to see that." So I said, "Okay, let me buy some Dogecoin." So I went in and I bought 5,000 Dogecoins. Now, mind you, I mentioned to you guys before that the Dogecoin is absolutely worthless. The only value the Dogecoin has is the probability that you can find a bigger sucker. It's not a long-term investment in my view. It's not something that is going to take care of your grandkids or anything. Dogecoin is literally gambling. That's what it is. So, and what are you betting on? Well, you're betting on human nature. You're betting on human beings. You're betting on fads. You're betting on the trend. You're betting that that there will be somebody else out there who will pay more for it than you did. Which kind of unfortunately makes it into almost like a Ponzi scheme, which also makes it very vulnerable to what you might call momentum trading, where when everybody's jumping in, everybody's going on the bandwagon. When everybody's jumping out, then you have a cascade, a constant decline in the price. So with a Dogecoin, you're going to have a lot of volatility typically because of that phenomenon. Well, so far the experiment has not gone well. We have been losing money. Let me see here. Thank God I didn't bet my life on Dogecoin because it's right now. I think I bought it 38 cents and it's down to 27 cents. So we've lost about 28% of our investment. But I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to stay on the job. I'll let you guys know how it goes. Now, from what I've heard, it's funny when I put it out there. I think a lot of people don't understand. Financial psychology is kind of my area. That's what I wrote my dissertation on, and a lot of people don't understand how superstitions emerge when it comes to gambling. When people start going to the casino and they start putting money, on black or on red, they'll tell you, "I got a system," right? Or if you talk to any blackjack player, they have a system, like, "Oh, I have a system, blah, 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 and the system can't fail." Okay, fine. And so what I hear, what was really interesting was that when I said that, that the price went down and that we lost money, a lot of the biggest response I saw was, "Oh, well, you jumped in too late. You bought too late. I bought it at 2 cents. I bought it at a penny. I bought it at, at 10 cents. So you bought too late, right? That was your mistake." I get that. I completely hear that, right? Obviously, that's true in hindsight. But the thing about it is that you don't know what too late is before the fact. You don't know. No, so somebody might say, "No, no, no, you could have known because the price went from 10 cents to 38 cents." Yeah, well, there was a time. There's a company called Amazon, and let me show you. Let me pull. I'm just gonna pull up a chart here. Amazon stock used to be very controversial because Amazon as a company did not appear to justify the stock price that it had. I'm going to pull the chart. Those of you who are in class can see the screen. Let me see here. Let me show you the chart of Amazon. It is kind of a interesting little factoid here. Let me share my screen. Here we go. All right. So here's Amazon stock, right? So if you go back, so now Amazon's trading at $3,418. Now, if you go back to say, let's go back, way back in the day to 2004. Amazon's trading at $40 a share. Now, at that time, there were people who refused to buy Amazon stock. There were people who said $40 is way too much for this company. This company is not making a profit. Their multiples are insane. this is, you bought it too late. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. You're buying it at the peak. And then what would happen too is that sometimes the stock would actually crash a little bit. Like it didn't have a straight up, a straightforward growth level. Like for example, right here, when it said 1970, it crashed, right? It crashed down to 1626. And when it crashed, inevitably, this always happens, or actually crashed down from 1900, almost $2,000 a share to $1,300 a share. So inevitably, at that point, there were people who said, "Oh, well, I know your mistake. Your mistake was that you bought too late. You bought Amazon too late. You bought it at 1900, and it's too late. Now it's down to 1,300. You should have bought it when I bought it back in at $800 a share, right?" But obviously, you see what happened afterward, right? It went up to 3,800. It's going to go up to 4,000 very soon, and maybe beyond that. And the thing is that with investing, the reason that you have to take those sorts of explanations with a grain of salt is because you don't know the whole story. You don't know the whole story. You don't know. You think you know, right? Maybe you trick yourself into believing that you know that 38 cents is too high of a price for Dogecoin and that it's destined to go down. But 38 cents could literally be the beginning of something much bigger. 38 cents is either an insane amount of money or it's a small amount of money, because all numbers are relative. Everything is relative, right? So 38 cents a share, obviously right now, in the hindsight, looks like a ridiculously high price to pay for a Dogecoin. But what if Dogecoin had gone up to $3? Then people would say, man, I wish I gotten in at 38 cents. I bought it at 38 cents. I was so smart because I bought it when it was cheap. And so the reason I laugh about the Dogecoin experiment is because it's not real. Literally, this does not qualify as investing. I hope you don't evaluate my understanding of investing based on the fact that I bought Dogecoin. That was literally a stupid investment for fun. I didn't put my real money into that. Now let's talk about the real money. Here's a real money investment I did make. And I told you guys about this company many months ago. Actually, maybe 2 months ago, we talked about it in class. It was a company called Microvision. And Microvision is a company that I bought mainly because I wanted to sell the options on Microvision. And those of you who are in the options masterclass kind of know the URL stockoptionsmasterclass.com if you haven't taken a look. But we talked about Microvision quite a while back. And Microvision has been really interesting. Microvision, let me just pull up the chart so we can just kind of see it, because Microvision has been just so fascinating to observe. Let me see here. It's a little bit speculative, and that's why I sold the options. I wasn't buying it to hold it for capital gains or anything like that. I bought it because I wanted to sell the options as quick as possible, get in and get out. I did not want to mess around with this company because the volatility is outrageous on some of these companies. But you can make money on a Bronco, meaning a highly volatile stock, if you do it right. Okay, so here you see Microvision. It's really interesting. So Microvision was trading super low. Maybe I want to say I got involved maybe when it was about maybe $5, $6, $7 a share. Then it started going up. Then it got as high as 23, and then it started dipping, went down again, up again, just kind of up and down, up and down. This whole time, I'm just selling the options on it, so I don't really care if the stock's going up or down. To be honest with you, I just don't want it to collapse. But I bought put options just to make sure that it didn't collapse on me. And so here it hits a low of 1039. Now, one thing I want to tell you about investing is the thing about investing is investing can drive you crazy if you're constantly chasing the wins. If you're constantly allowing yourself to be driven by two emotions, then you're going to typically be a bad investor. And I was talking to my friend. He's a rapper. His name is D1, and he's a great guy. And he's actually made millions of dollars literally writing excellent songs about financial literacy. He actually did a song called No Car Note that was really popular, heard by millions of people. And also he did another one called Sally Mayback, where he talked about paying Sally Mayback, but he was like a Maybach, get it, Sally Mayback. And there's literally a Maybach in the commercial, and a white lady with a name tag that says Sally Mae. And actually, when he did that song, he ended up with an endorsement deal with Sally Mae, where they paid him money to go and perform the song in different high schools. And he also has another song called "I Hate Money." So we talk about money a lot. And the thing I told him was, I said, you don't want your investing to be driven by two things, and that's fear or greed. Fear or greed. What fear will do is fear will make you panic. Fear will make you run away from when things get a little bit tough. Like that New Edition song, "Can You Stand the Rain?" Well, people that live in fear can't stand the rain, because as soon as it rains, they think it's going to rain forever, and they start running away, and then they never get to enjoy the sunshine because they're always so scared of the rain. So people who live their lives in fear, who make decisions out of fear, if you are a person who makes most of your decisions out of fear, whether it's investing or in life, looking to get in therapy so you can kind of work through that fear and just kind of know that, yeah, some things are going to happen, but you're going to be okay. So my confidence in it as an investor does not come from the fact that I know that every prediction I make is going to be correct. Or, it's like a basketball player. His confidence doesn't come from the fact that he knows every shot's going to go in. The confidence comes from the fact that you know that even when you miss a lot of shots, you're still going to be fine. You can withstand that. So here's what happened with Microvision that really tested that. The price kept going down and down and down. And what I do is, in order to keep myself from going crazy by chasing the gains, by living through either fear or greed. Again, and greed is the other side of that. Greed is where you're constantly inundated with FOMO, fear of missing out. I don't know. Give me a yes or no if you feel that way, where when you see something shoot up through the roof and you're like, dang, I missed it. Dang, I got in too late. I see that all the time because there's a real gambling kind of energy right now around the stock market, which is really fascinating. I'm glad people are investing, but I kind of feel bad because people are losing sleep right now. Like, that gambling addiction is real, and it can really affect you mentally and drive you crazy. So I don't get involved in that, right? Fear and greed, I try my best to keep fear and greed from driving my decisions. And so what does that mean? Well, that means that, and I'm going to get back to Microvision in a second and sort of give you some perspective on this. It kind of means, like, look, when things go down, I was telling Alicia, like, I had this Microvision stock. It's dropping, dropping, dropping. Our family has a substantial investment in this company, and it's dropping, dropping, dropping. And I'm telling Alicia, I'm kind of laughing about it. I'm like, yeah, that one company, Microvision, is just getting its butt kicked, and woo, it's taking a hit on my portfolio. But again, because I'm selling the options, I honestly didn't care that much. And then two, I have a philosophy. I just buy the dip. Like, it doesn't mean that it's the right choice all the time. No, sometimes it can lead you to economic hell, but I just buy the dips because that's just what I do, right? Because, well, when I wrote my dissertation years ago, I found that when you buy the dips consistently, long term, you do well. You make money. You may not make money this week, this month, or even this year, but long term, you're going to do better than people who run away from the dips, right? So I kept buying the dip, buying the dip, buying the dip, and then boom, out of the blue, out of nowhere, this stock gets on the radar screen of those crazy traders on Reddit who overpay for everything, who push prices up, through the roof, and the stock price goes up literally in a week. It goes up about 155%. So all this time I was buying the dip, buying the dip, buying the dip. Then boom, these shares I bought for 10, 12, $14 are suddenly worth, $26.44. Now, that's an example of kind of how things can change at any moment. But it's also another thing. Another concern, though, is you also have the risk when a stock jumps like that. Microvision's not worth $26 a share. There's nothing in the company's financial statements that justifies this price point. This is all pretty much an illusion. So when the price goes up, here's the thing. This is where, when I told you, my decisions are not made through fear or greed most of the time. If I'm in my right mind, I don't let fear affect me. I don't let greed affect me. So here, this is where fear doesn't affect me. I'm just buying the dip, buying the dip, buying the dip. The advantage of a price decline is I can buy more shares cheaply. But then this is the point where the greed has to be avoided, because when you start seeing things go up, you start making that money affects you like cocaine, and cocaine is a hell of a drug. And money affects the same region of your brain as cocaine, in the hypothalamus. I don't know if y'all know that or not, but literally when you get that high from making money, those endorphins that flow through your brain, you literally are responding like somebody who's on cocaine. That's also why gambling addictions are so hard to beat, because it's weird. It's like it's a drug, but it's not a drug, right? And so, long story short, when this occurs, you have to flip your mindset. You have to start saying, okay, now that I'm making money, I have to prepare for the time when I won't be making money. This is when you start making moves to protect and get into a more defensive posture to protect your investment. This is when, so what I did was I went in and I bought some put options. I said, okay, if this stock drops, I want to make sure I benefit from the drop. I start selling some shares. I don't want too much when the price goes up. You have an unbalanced portfolio. You have too much of your money in one company. fund managers, money managers, when the price of a stock goes up too high, they start shaving the stock because they don't want any stock to have more than 5 or 10% of their portfolio. So the key idea here is that when you're not making money, you have to prepare yourself and position yourself for when you are making money, right? You have to position yourself and maybe pick up some assets, or if based on whatever your cash flow is at the time, right? So that when things turn around, you'll be in position to benefit from that. Like gentrification. A lot of people became wealthy off gentrification, not because they bought the property when it was expensive, it's because they bought the property when it was cheap. But then the flip side of that is when you are making money, you have to prepare for when you won't be making money anymore, right? So when the sun is out, you prepare for the rain. When the rain is out, you prepare for the sun. So ultimately, with this particular stock, in this case, this stock, I wouldn't be surprised if this thing just absolutely collapses, because a lot of this growth in price is an illusion. It's built off of a pump and dump driven by the Reddit traders, and you have to be kind of ready for this sort of activity, based on how you invest. But some of you actually jumped into a microvision when we talked about it, so I congratulate you on making your money. I would encourage you right now to protect your investment if you haven't done that yet. So I want to remind you guys really quick that in order to come to class, when you log in at the blackstockmarketprogram.com, you can go to the top of the curriculum section and you can get that link to actually come to the class. We meet every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern, in case you don't know, in case you're new. And also the other thing I want to mention to you is that on that Thursday, I'm going to do a special 3-day lecture series on financial decision making. Basically, sorry, scratch that. I said Thursday. I'm going to say Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. I decided I was going to do one big lecture, but I said no. I want to split it over 3 days. So at 8 p.m. Eastern, we're going to do something on financial decision making. And what sparked my thought on doing this, and what made me want to do this, is people came to me with this question. They said, if you had a choice between getting $2 million in cash, $4,000 a week for life, or a perfect credit score, which would you pick? And I saw the answers on the internet were all over the place. And the thing is that there's a methodology that you can actually apply that will help you make those decisions. So a lot of these other choices that you make, like, do I want to sell my insurance policy? If I have an annuity or a certain amount of money coming in every year, how much would I sell that for? Or where do stock prices come from? And so this made me think, okay, I want to actually break all this down so you can have tools for financial decision making and how to sort of sort between which investments to make. For example, another question I get a lot of times is, should I pay off my student loans before I start a business? Or should I pay down my debt before I start investing? And I want to give you the framework that will allow you to create your custom model on how you make those choices. Because the interesting thing about it is that there's no sort of standard way to make every financial decision, because everybody's different. A lot of your choices economically come down to who you are, how you think, how you feel, what you're going through, what you have access to, what you're trying to accomplish, what opportunities are available to you. All these things come into play. So the answer that works for me may not be an answer that works for you, And so anyway, those of you who are in the Black Stock Market Program, you get complete free access to this lecture series. I'm going to send you guys the link out later on today. So just log in at the blackstockmarketprogram.com. And actually, the link is actually up there in the curriculum section. So you can log into the blackstockmarketprogram.com and you can find it there. Okay. All right, guys.